achieved.
All right, what is up, everybody, and welcome to Studio de Jeffrey. All right, what I want to talk to you guys about today is a couple of big things with the Cowboys offense. Number one, I want to talk about why CeeDee Lamb is going to make an immediate impact on the Dallas Cowboys. And it comes from a question that was left on a video, I believe yesterday, by a guy named Josh Beauchamp. Shout out to you. Thank you for contributing to Studio Day Heffrey. Leave in the comments on this one what you want to talk about tomorrow. And I will try to take care of you. That's my goal. We're also going to talk about Amari Cooper's secret weapon after we are done with our CeeDee Lamb conversation. So, from Josh, he said, "Hey, Jeff, would like to know your prediction for Jarwin, what that will be for the season and on. Even though we do have very good receivers, it seems like Dak loves his tight end targets. I'd love to hear your opinion." Here's what I think is about to happen with the Cowboys. I think the reason you had so many tight end targets is Dak did a really good job of balancing his aggressiveness with pushing the ball downfield and the kind of sure things to the guy that you could trust in Jason Witten, because for all we talk about the lack of ability after the catch and the lack of athleticism as he's gotten older, which are all true, if you needed 5 to 8 or 9 yards, you could throw a contested ball to Witten if a guy was on his back and you knew that he was going to catch that ball for you and he was going to get you a first down, he was going to move the chains, he was going to do all those things. CeeDee Lamb is the most natural catcher of the football on the roster. So with Jarwin, I don't think he's quite the same guy in terms of, and this can be a very good thing for this offense, in terms of, look, go put your body on that dude, turn around, catch the ball for me. He's going to be more of a, hey, let's work it down the seam, let's work across the field, let's get you some opportunities after the catch. But I don't think it's going to take long at all for CeeDee Lamb to become the guy that Dak Prescott absolutely trusts in every situation. I think for CeeDee, this scenario of where he got drafted is absolutely perfect. He's great catching the ball outside his frame. By the way, at Oklahoma in 3 years, he never dropped a deep ball. He just got great hands, great tracking ability, finish in traffic, all these things. And those are things that build giant trust with a quarterback. And so when he trusts you, I could see CeeDee Lamb being what most people consider a tight end to be for a quarterback, where if it's just the guy that I'm looking for, where I'm like, okay, I need this first down, I need 5 yards, I need 8 yards, who can I trust the most? CeeDee Lamb's going to be lined up in the slot, closer than your wideouts are to the quarterback. CeeDee's going to be harder to play press on because he's in the slot. You're going to see less press coverage. You can move him around. I think he becomes what you picture some of the tight end targets being for a lot of teams. I think those become CeeDee's targets because he's going to build that trust. When I looked at him as a prospect, the things that you would mark down as potential concerns would be, well, you know, at Oklahoma, they did a great job of manufacturing ways to put him in space. So what does it look like against great press man corners in the NFL? What does it look like when you're trying to break the tackles of non-Big 12 players? Because for a guy who's 6'1", 6'2", and under 200 pounds, I don't think he's going to power through as many tackles as he did in college football. But the things that will translate is he's going to be good after the catch. He wins the contested ball. He doesn't drop the ball. He's a solid route runner. He's great in space. And the Cowboys are going to give him the opportunity to be in that exact same spot. If you were lining him up outside all the time, then I would have a few more questions. I'd say, okay, without elite athleticism and without the experience of facing a ton of press coverage, what does this look like? But with the Cowboys, I think he's going to have the opportunity to be doing a lot of the same things where you're creating the space for him. And he's going to show Dak really quickly that if a ball is a little bit off target, I got you. And I just think he is the most natural catcher of the football on the team. Gallup had 13 drops last year, and I'm a big Michael Gallup guy. That number will come down, but he's not as natural plucking the ball outside of his frame. He's done a great job winning on deep balls and finding a way to haul it in, but CeeDee is just so natural at going to get the football. Cooper's another one. He's a great route runner, and I'm going to give you an awesome stat on Amari Cooper, his secret weapon, here in a minute. But he's another guy. For a top 10 wide receiver in the league, which he is, he doesn't have the best hands. CeeDee does. He's got you covered in that regard. And Jarwin, I'm not saying Jarwin isn't good at catching the football. I'm saying there's a difference between the guys who are absolute snatchers that it's like a weird combination. The hands are very soft, but it's also like you can go catch it with a violence and it sticks, and that's CeeDee. So I think CeeDee will get a decent amount of the Witten targets that are leaving, and they won't all be filtering towards Blake Jarwin, to answer your question, Josh, as best I can. Now, let me find my Amari Cooper stat. I got to figure out where I put it because where I put things is always very random. Here's my email. I think I emailed myself. By the way, Pro Football Focus did their top 25 wide receivers going into the season. Amari is in the top 10. No Gallup, no CeeDee Lamb, but that's cool. All right, here's a nerd thing on wide receivers. My buddy Josh Hermsmeyer, 538.com. I think he did this kind of because of Michael Thomas, and what he wanted to find out was people give Michael Thomas crap about his yards per reception not being as high as some guys, and how good is he really, or is it just a ton of opportunities? So what they did was a lot of nerd stuff to come up with a stat called separation over expected. So you take what would be average if a guy's at a certain depth running a certain route against a certain coverage, and like how much separation would you be expected to have? And Michael Thomas turned out really well, and he's like, hey, turns out he's great. But they did this at all different levels of the defense. Who are the best guys at separating underneath? Who are the best guys at separating on intermediate routes? And who are the best guys at separating on deep routes? And I think most people already know that Amari Cooper's a good technician as a route runner, and teams got to worry about anything short because he's whether you're running a comeback, whether you're running a slant, his setups are really good on all of these routes, and he's a really good route runner. But he doesn't register at the top on any of these depths until you get to deep. Amari Cooper is third in the league, but right at the very, very top on separation over expected per play on the deep ball, and his expected points added per play on the deep ball are also in the top 3 in the league, top 4 in the league. Amari Cooper's secret weapon is the deep ball. Everybody thinks of, technician and, he can really separate and he can run these slant routes and he can run the digs and he can run the comebacks. But where Amari Cooper separates better than pretty much anyone in the league, and where the expected result when you throw it to him is better than pretty much anyone in the league, is when he's running bombs. And that can happen with really good route runners because you're trying to stick with him doing a lot of different things. Another guy who's on this list is Calvin Ridley. And again, it's a guy that you're thinking, man, I really got to worry about his ability to run these routes underneath and his ability to separate from me. I really got to stick this. And it opens up the ability to beat people deep. So Amari Cooper, secret weapon, catching bombs, as Phil Mickelson would say. I got a research project I did on the Cowboys secondary and a guy they may want to add in free agency. I'm going to save that for a little bit later today, so make sure that you're coming back, youtube.com/Jeff Kavanaugh and 1053thefan.com. Now I'll get to some of your mailbag questions, all right? Troy Clark, he said, my name's Troy Clark. I'm an 18%er. That means you got the notifications turned on. Not missing a video. My guy. Shout out to the 18%ers. I watch your Cowboys coverage daily. You're awesome, and I've played Warzone with you. My username is TLCDaddy77. What position do you see as thin, and is there a scenario where you see us bringing in another free agent? You could bring one in at receiver. So the Cowboys are building a juggernaut offense, right? Your top 3 receivers are probably the best in the league. Your tight end, I think, is very good or potentially very good. But you're also thin there because right now your 4th and 5th wide receivers are probably Devin Smith and Cedric Wilson, and then maybe John Van Johnson. We'll see if they keep 6 and who it'll be. Wide receivers thin. Tight ends thin. Blake Bell's more of a blocker than an all-around tight end. Dalton Schultz has never really shown the ability to be a guy that you want on the field. Although they do have some wild cards, undrafted free agents. Shout out to my guy Charlie T. What else is thin? Like, corner's not thin. You don't love what you know you have there. You're playing off of numbers and potential, but it's not thin. Safety could be thin. Offensive line, again, you're unsure what exactly is happening at left guard and center, but you're not thin there. You got the bodies. You're potentially thin on the edge, your edge rushers. DeMarcus Lawrence, Tyrone Crawford are sure things. Aldon Smith you're hoping for. Maybe Randy Gregory can get reinstated. Maybe Bradley and I is going to make the team. Dorrance Armstrong, Joe Jackson. You're kind of thin at defensive end. You're not thin at linebacker. That answer your question? That good enough? You're not thin at quarterback. Jose Melendez says Luka's going to win an MVP his first 4 years in the NBA. Thoughts? Agreed. He's a monster. Oh, previous 16%er, current 18%er, and future 20%er. Shout out to Jose. Okay, we did Ronce Rahan. He said, Jeff, my man, seeing as so many top running backs have been moving around the past few years, Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson, Todd Gurley, Gordon, AP, Freeman, do you think Zeke retires as a Cowboy? That is a tough question because Jerry's a big fan of the marketing, so Zeke's a good player who's also well compensated, who also sells a bunch of jerseys and is super popular. So as long as those things stay true, he'll be a Cowboy. I could absolutely see them reaching a point the third or fourth year into their extension when his numbers get pretty darn big and a lot of running backs are really wearing down where they part ways. So I'll bet, I think Zeke likes being a Cowboy. I think Jerry likes him being a Cowboy. But no, it's the NFL. I'll say he does not retire a Cowboy. Jay, he says, hey, Jeff, I'm not a 17%er. It's not you. I don't like having notifications on my screen. That's cool. I'm not judging you. You do what you do, man. I just love you 3% less than the people who got the notifications on. I do watch your videos, though, and I'm subscribed. I'd like to get your thoughts on a scenario I have. What if Dak balls out, wins the Super Bowl? Jerry goes to him, and he says, nah, and he says no due to the contract debacle this season. I'd love your thoughts. Keep up the good work. I mean, if he balls out and wins the Super Bowl, Jerry will make his pockets right. So it would be hard for him to say no because Jerry will be like, no, for real. Like, you know how much money you just made me? Here's all the money. So I don't see that happening in Dak unless Dak's like miserable as a Cowboy, which I don't think that's true. Although, heard some rumblings from Broadus where it's like, does Dak want to be here? Maybe not with how the contract stuff's been going. Kyle White says, could you do a top 10 running back ranking? I could. I don't know if I could off the top of my head. Nick Chubb and McCaffrey are probably at the top for me. Alvin Kamara, although I saw he went vegan, and the history of guys going vegan, you can look that up. It's kind of dicey in the NFL if you want the guy to stay healthy. Which I am not making a dietary stance on what's good for athletes, okay? Don't yell at me. I'm just saying. A lot of the guys who have seen stories on going vegan end up getting hurt. Maybe it's coincidence. Leave me alone. I'm not judging your eating habits. I swear. Who else? I think Zeke's in the top 10. Derrick Henry is probably in the top 5 or 6, although I'd rather have the guy who's a great receiver, but Henry had a great year last year running the ball. Maybe I'll come back to that. I can come up with one. I just need to have the names in front of me. Brad Sanders, I don't know how us being last in special teams isn't getting more attention. I hear all these excuses from Garrett to Dak, but I hear almost nothing about special teams. You can't be successful in the NFL if you're the worst in the league in special teams. It's a miracle we won as many games as we did with how we played on special teams. Brad, you're barking up the wrong tree, brother. I blame all the special teams. I blame them all the time. Special teams were atrocious. You were asking your team to go 10 yards further than every other team in the league all the time, and it was stupid. You couldn't punt. You couldn't cover kickoffs. You couldn't return kickoffs. You couldn't return punts. You couldn't kick field goals. The special teams were atrocious. They got to fix that. Atrocious. Get on it, boys. All right. Let me know if you're still here at 14:04 today. In the comments, what are we doing in the comments? What are we doing in the comments? What are we doing in the comments? What's your favorite utensil? Butter knife, steak knife, fork, spoon, spork? Let me know. Maybe it's one I didn't even name. Maybe you're a big fan of the spoon that you use to scoop noodles. It's, got the little edges that come up with the little gaps in them. Whatever you like, let me know. I appreciate you guys every day for being here. I love you. And I'll talk to you later. I got a thing coming. I got a thing coming for you a little bit later on. Make sure you're subscribed, and I will catch you guys on the radio and later on. I love you. Bye.